America on alert. This Memorial Day weekend, from the track to the train station, tighter security everywhere. The road to peace. Israel approves the American roadmap and endorses a Palestinian state for the first time ever. Missing money. Why it takes a long time to get your cash returned on rebates. And the wine glut. Tons of grapes overflowing the market, with bottles going for $2.
It's amazing. It's almost cheaper than water.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with John Siegenthaler.
Good evening, everyone. On this Memorial Day weekend, as America remembers those who fought and died for this country, the U.S. is on high alert for a possible terrorist attack. In many cities, security has been beefed up for the traditional holiday activities. And today, congressional leaders warned of a serious terrorist threat and urged Americans not to let down their guard. We begin tonight with NBC's Joe Johns.
And gentlemen, start your engines.
In Indianapolis today, one of the nation's biggest security challenges on this holiday weekend, where police watched over an estimated 300,000 people, including a pair of former presidents, George Herbert Walker Bush and Bill Clinton.
We can't just run away. We have to show up and go on with our lives. I'm tickled to death to see this crowd here, and I'm proud of my country for showing up.
At New York's Penn Station, security personnel worked overtime. While New York City never let its guard down since September 11th, now the entire nation is going through its fourth Code Orange alert.
It's in the back of my mind, the whole alert situation, especially when I was on the train, because they've mentioned trains and subways a couple of times.
35 million Americans were expected to travel this weekend, mostly by car. Just the same, no mode of travel went unchecked, even on waterways and coastlines. In Washington, D.C., metal detectors were set up under rainproof canopies outdoors for the annual Memorial Day concert. And with police leading the way, motorcycle enthusiasts were rolling into town for their annual rally. Officials here in Washington and other cities with tourist sites of symbolic national interest are depending on the intelligence community and newly developed information sharing systems in hopes of heading off potentially dangerous situations.
We're looking to make sure that if anything specific comes up, that the people who would be involved in such specificity are given as much possible notice to take proper steps.
A massive effort to prevent the worst on this holiday weekend, an effort that will leave financially strapped cities and states figuring out how they're going to pay for it. Joe Johns, NBC News, Washington.
And some jittery moments in Miami this morning, where an explosion aboard a cruise ship killed 3 crew members. The Norwegian cruise liner, with more than 2,100 passengers, had just docked when the blast rocked the boiler room. At least 20 other crew members were injured, 14 critically. Officials stress it was an accident, and they suspect a steam leak caused the explosion. Now to the Middle East, and a major decision today by the Israeli cabinet. Not only did the Israelis approve the U.S. roadmap for peace, for the first time ever, they endorsed the idea of a Palestinian state. NBC's Martin Fletcher reports from Tel Aviv.
Under tight security, Israel's cabinet met today for one of the country's most historic decisions, to accept or not to accept the U.S.-backed roadmap for peace. A breakthrough that would, for the first time, commit Israel to the establishment of a Palestinian state, anathema to this right-wing government.
I think that anyone here who wants really to have peace and wants to continue and combat terrorism cannot reward terrorism with this roadmap.
The vote, 12-4, 7 against, 4 abstentions. A convincing victory for Prime Minister Ariel Sharon, who earlier said the time had come to divide this land between Israel and the Palestinians. Quite an about turn for Sharon, one of the greatest supporters of the settlers. But analysts say the vote was not so much to make peace with the Palestinians, but to keep peace with the Americans.
Why did Sharon accept it?
Heavy pressure.
From Washington?
From Washington. Sharon decided from day one as a prime minister that he's going to do almost everything to keep these close relations with the American administration.
But outside the prime minister's office, the first rumblings of what Jewish settlers warn will be a furious fight against giving up any of the land they say God gave the Jews.
This is a historical moment, very bad one. whenever someone commits suicide, it's a historical moment for him. This is exactly what we feel today.
But other demonstrators supported the roadmap, hoping it will end Israel's occupation of Palestinian land.
The settlements are the representatives of the occupation, and they are the responsible for the bloodshed that we are seeing in this country.
Palestinians too welcomed the vote. They accepted the roadmap 2 weeks ago and say both sides now must get on with their commitments.
Israel has to stop all the assassinations, the settlement activities, the demolition of houses, collective punishment against our people, and we, on our side, we have to do all what we can in order to stop violence.
Now both sides have accepted the roadmap. It still doesn't mean it's going to be an easy ride. They still have to decide how to implement it, and on that they're far apart. But now the process towards peace could at least begin. Martin Fletcher, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
Now that the Israelis have given the roadmap the go-ahead, there are plans in the works for President Bush to visit the Middle East in the near future. But today, the Bush administration was focused on Iran. NBC's Rosalind Jordan joins us now from Crawford, Texas with more. Good evening, Rosalind.
Good evening, John. The president's agenda is quite busy this week, and it reportedly includes putting more pressure on a country which the administration says is part of the axis of evil. President Bush, back in Washington tonight, glad the Israeli government has endorsed his roadmap to Mideast peace and looking ahead to next weekend's G8 economic meetings and to a possible Mideast summit afterwards. But it's Iran that has the administration's attention today. The White House is refusing to confirm a Washington Post report that says officials are considering plans to destabilize the Iranian government because it allegedly has been harboring members of al-Qaeda, including the suspected mastermind of this month's bombings in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Saif al-Adel, said to be the #3 man behind Osama bin Laden. Just last Wednesday, this from a State Department spokesman.
The presence of al-Qaeda operatives working from Iran is a matter of very serious concern to us. Whether they're there with permission, not with permission, or what.
The Post also says Washington has cut off low-level communications with Tehran, established after September 11th, something the White House denies. But today, Iran's foreign minister claims his country is cracking down on al-Qaeda members.
We have arrested many of them, have deported many of them, sent them back to their original countries. And those who are under custody, under interrogation.
One key Senate Republican says Bush's pressure on Iran may be having an effect.
I'm very hopeful that the very strong message sent to Iran will be received and we'll see some progress.
But Roberts' Democratic counterpart says the U.S. shouldn't be looking for another fight in the region.
I have not seen anything from the agency to suggest this. I have not seen anything, that is, that there's a likelihood of an internal uprising overthrowing this government. I think it's fanciful.
For now, the official U.S. position on Iran is the one spelled out by President Bush last July. The Iranian people want freedom, and the U.S. is ready to help them achieve their goal. John?
NBC's Rosalind Jordan in Crawford, Texas. Roz, thanks. In Baghdad, another example of why Iraq remains a dangerous place. 3 people were killed, including 1 child, and several others injured when an Iraqi missile that was being moved exploded and launched another missile, which landed in a garage. The blast set cars and a bus on fire and destroyed the garage. The search continues in Iraq for weapons of mass destruction, and despite several important discoveries, still no chemical or biological weapons have been found. NBC's Jim Avila is in Baghdad.
Figure out how to disconnect the cab from
a setback in the search for weapons of mass destruction. NBC News has learned from U.S. military sources in Baghdad and government officials in the United States that tests on 3 tractor trailers believed to be mobile labs are negative for any trace of biological weapons. NBC News analyst and former chief UN weapons inspector David Kay.
It would have been better in terms of determining their actual, beyond a doubt, their actual use, if you could find signs of either anthrax or one of the common simulants for anthrax.
Sources say the trailers were cleaned with an unidentified solvent hiding the existence of bioagents. But government analysts still believe the Iraqis built these mobile labs with the intention of making bioweapons.
It was exactly what you needed and nothing more than you needed to produce weaponized anthrax.
Soldiers assigned to find weapons of mass destruction in Iraq now tell NBC News they doubt they will find any actual biological or chemical weapons. And instead, some are turning their attention to scientists, pressing them for human intelligence and documents. Intelligence from people like this. Last week, NBC News gained exclusive access to a meeting sponsored by the United States of 300 Iraqi nuclear scientists. Each asked to reveal their level of service and willingness to leave the Ba'ath Party. Iraq's chief nuclear scientist read the document.
One says, I disavow the Ba'ath Party if he's a member or associated with it. And the second says, I was on this level in the Ba'ath Party as of March 1st, that's before the war.
The nuclear scientist warned those with serious high-level ties to Saddam will be fired, some privately threatening to leave the country, leaving the United States with a delicate problem: pay and accept help from scientists who may have helped Saddam produce weapons of mass destruction, or let them take their politics and knowledge elsewhere. Jim Avila, NBC News, Baghdad.
A second sailor aboard a Navy ship heading back from the war in Iraq has apparently fallen overboard. The Navy says the sailor fell today off the USS Nassau, which is in the Atlantic on its way to return Marines to Morehead City, North Carolina. On Friday, the Navy says a 23-year-old petty officer fell overboard in an accident. He was not wearing a life jacket. In Algeria, the hopes of finding more survivors from Wednesday's massive earthquake are fading. Searchers continued combing through the collapsed buildings today, looking for any signs of life. The quake killed just under 2,200 people and injured 9,000. Officials say they expect the number of casualties to increase. When we come back, inside the SARS ward, as the number of cases grows around the world, what one country is doing to try to stop the outbreak. And later, why too much wine on the market means real bargains for holiday picnics.
You know what I love, Pollen? Allergy medicines that don't last very long.
Yeah, ragweed. They make it easy to make them suffer. One dose of most allergy medicines doesn't work as long as you want, but just one Allegra 180 lasts up to 4 times longer than most OTC allergy medicines.
Allegra just made life as an allergen tougher.
For people 12 and over, side effects are low and may include headache, cold, or back pain. For your seasonal allergy symptoms, ask your doctor about Allegra.
So when does our Allegra quit working?
Maybe when allergy season's over?
Allegra, the relief goes on.
I was born without a shopping gene. You don't hear the laughing, but it's there.
We can stop the suffering.
When Jerry showed me Big Lots closeout shopping, it's like I was opening my eyes for the very first time. Finding that $129 even flow stroller for $79, it was a breakthrough. I said, hello, Bliss, I'm Susan. I was going around the rest of the day saying, hello, I'm a born shopper.
Big Lots, brand names, closeout prices, happy people.
Who's laughing now?
DuPont Stainmaster Carpet with Tactest fibers is so incredibly soft. You have to feel it to believe it.
Log on to Stainmaster.com now during the Stainmaster Carpet Sweet Dreams promotion to find a dealer near you.
Oh, Reginald.
Oh, Lydia.
You're the only one for me.
Cheddar Jack cheese it. Get your own box.
NBC News in depth tonight, the SARS outbreak. Health officials in Canada say they believe they can trace this weekend's new cluster of cases in Toronto back to the original outbreak in March. Here are the latest SARS numbers. In Toronto, officials said today there are 34 suspected new cases and 3 more deaths. 2 of those deaths from the new possible cluster, the 3rd from the original outbreak. In Taiwan, China, and Hong Kong, 23 more deaths today. This brings the worldwide total to at least 715 and 8,100 people infected. No place has been hit harder than China. NBC's Ned Colt in depth tonight on efforts to keep the virus from spreading.
Fighting SARS at China's premier infectious diseases hospital. Here, they have the best equipment in the country. For our visit, I wear a Tyvek biohazard suit, a 12-layer gauze mask, gloves, and a hat. Defense for a look inside a ward where 200 patients are fighting SARS. The scene through the double-pane glass separating us from the patients in isolation is like something from a science fiction film. Doctors and nurses are disinfected when they step out. There's fear here at SARS Ground Zero, with thousands infected and thousands more quarantined. About a third of Chinese now wear masks. An exception, the Toronto family, who have lived here for 7 years. They're taking precautions, but certainly are not panicking.
There's an emphasis on being clean and healthy. There's an emphasis on being careful where you go and who you interact with.
The Torontos aren't spending a lot of time outside their immediate neighborhood, and very few people are. Travel here is considered risky and difficult.
Now, one of the most visible efforts to stop the spread of SARS is by erecting barricades along roads leading into villages outside of Beijing. We're just about 30 miles outside of Beijing. We've already passed dozens of those barricades. They're made of wood, stone, brick, and just mounds of dirt. No one can pass.
A few minutes later, we're stopped and told we can go no further. Here in China, containing SARS means stopping travel.
No.
And having on-the-spot health screening. But with reported infections dropping here, many believe it's working. Ned Colt, NBC News, Beijing.
There is an update tonight on the one case of mad cow disease reported from Canada. Test results on the other cattle in the herd linked to the case shows they were clear of the infection. 17 other herds remain under quarantine in Western Canada while those cattle are slaughtered and tested. When NBC Nightly News continues, buyer beware why all those rebates offered aren't always the best bargain.
Don't walk. Look, it's not a difficult concept, right? Unless your back is screaming, lie down! So before the pain takes over, grab a Thermacare, that air-activated heat wrap. Open it up, it gets warm. It stays warm for 8 hours, deeply relaxing tight muscles. So circulation flows in, helping pain flow out. Don't walk, dance, man, get down. There you go. Thermacare heat wraps. Wrap yourself in relief. Yeah.
Face it, kids are simply priceless. Which is why kids stay free at Best Westerns worldwide. Best Western, the world's largest hotel chain. Visit bestwestern.com.
Some mornings I was so constipated I could hardly make my deliveries. I felt bloated, all knotted up. This one little pill changed my mornings.
Good morning, Mrs. Renner.
X-Lax Ultra. This little pill with X-Lax guaranteed relief by 8 a.m. X-Lax Ultra. Now my mornings are ultra good.
Good morning. And here's a package for you, Jill.
X-Lax Ultra. For ultra good mornings.
How do you invest to help secure your future? You start with your dreams. And Edward Jones.
My life, my world, it all begins with a dream.
Edward Jones.
If you're heading out there, I'll give you a tip. It's wild and it's far, and you're in for a trip. For just when you think it couldn't get rougher, the path goes crooked and the going gets tougher. But once you've traveled this far off the track, you won't settle for less, and there's no going back. The powerful Chevy Tahoe, like a rock.
Tonight on NBC.
Mr. Bob Hope. Very thrilled to be here, and where are we?
On his 100th birthday, great stars look back at his remarkable career.
The most graceful performer of this century.
100 years of hope and humor. Tonight, 7/6 Central on NBC.
If you went shopping this holiday weekend, chances are you might have been enticed by an attractive rebate offer. Rebates are being offered on everything from appliances to computers to cars. The concept behind the rebate is simple. You pay full price, then you get some money back. But as NBC's Don Lemon reports, it doesn't always work out that way.
In his Princeton University dorm room, sophomore Ryan Grant clicks away on his new computer, a gift from his parents in California.
He wanted one that was pretty good because he likes to play the computer games.
So Ryan chose this Samsung, complete with a sleek flat-screen monitor. It cost $2,000. As an added bonus, it came with a $50 mail-in rebate.
Rebates are an ideal way for manufacturers to get bargain hunters to buy at full price, with a promise to get cash back if consumers follow detailed instructions. Sounds easy, but in fact, the Federal Trade Commission reports that complaints about rebates rank at the top of their list.
When did you mail that rebate in?
The grants rebate form ended up at a company like this one, an independent contractor hired by a manufacturer to expedite rebate claims. Frank Giordano's company is not handling the grants rebate, but processes 30 to 50,000 rebates a day. He says that the majority of customers that follow the terms and conditions of the rebate will get their money, but it can take time to make sure each claim is legitimate.
We have to be very vigilant about fraudulent rebate submissions. Unfortunately, there are lots of bad people out there who think they can make a living out of rebates for products that they did not buy.
But this process can leave legitimate customers like the Grants waiting a long time for their money. While Bob Grant admits he initially submitted the wrong serial number, he quickly sent in the correct one.
We waited a month. Nothing was heard, so we wrote him a letter. Said, here are all the things we have sent you. Here's all the information you requested. Where's the rebate?
Some experts question whether some manufacturers really intend to pay up.
The manufacturer keeps the rebate as profit if it doesn't get paid to the consumer. So rejecting a claim for whatever nitpicking reason, like you didn't put your mother's maiden name down, is a good reason to do it, and the manufacturers like that.
After 8 months and a call from NBC News to Samsung about this story, Grant's $50 arrived by express mail. Although Grant says he is still leery of rebates, no matter how big.
Hi, Brent.
One family that now realizes the cheapest option may not end up being the best bargain. Don Lemon, NBC News, New York.
In New York City last night, the man who unofficially became known as America's mayor following the September 11th attacks got married. Rudy Giuliani and his longtime girlfriend, Judith Nathan, were married by current New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg in front of 400 guests. The ceremony took place at Gracie Mansion, where Giuliani lived for most of his time as mayor. When we come back, it comes in red or white and has an unusual name, Why Nobody is Whining About $2 Chuck.
Are you troubled by creditors? You're pre-approved. I guarantee.
Go from fat to flat.
You've won a dream vacation. Want to see my webcam?
Want a better way to block junk email?
Everybody loves block off a crispier, flakier crust.
Switch to MSN 8. Sign up now and get tougher junk email protection, plus 2 months free. It's better with the Butterfly. Go to msn8.com today.
The first major advance for the fastest treatment of athlete's foot is Lamisil AT. Lamisil AT is the first non-prescription medicine proven to kill the fungus with just 1 week's use. Not even a prescription can beat that. Lotrimin AF and Tinactin still expect you to treat for 4 weeks. Who's gonna do that? When your feet itch and burn, using Lamisil AT 1 week keeps you athlete's foot free 3 months. Lamisil AT. There's no better way to cure athlete's foot.
We make products that work in your home. We wait until we've got a product that's better than what's out there, that the consumer can see the difference in. Then we'll go to market. It's the duty to our heritage, and it's a duty to our consumer. I'm certain that what we are doing now not only will go into the next generation, but the generation after that.
C. Johnson, a family company.
I'm up, but this arthritis pain.
The moment of choice, Tylenol or Advil? What do you take for arthritis pain?
Advil's the choice for me.
Truth is, only Advil liquid gels give you advanced liquid-filled capsules. Can't get that from Tylenol. Advil liquid gels rush long-lasting relief where you need it, and it's gentle on your stomach.
Oh, wow. That's great.
For fast relief, advance to Advil.
Tuesday on Today, Ryan's story, courageous and inspiring, how he made an impossible dream come true.
That's awesome!
Only on Today on NBC.
No summer job? What kids can do. And week.
In California, a glut of grapes this year is hurting grape farmers and has caused the price of wine to plummet, really plummet. These days, one of the best-selling wines can be bought for just a couple of bucks a bottle. Here's NBC's James Hattori.
In California's Napa Valley, where fine wine is a passion,
it's a 99 vintage.
even enophiles are drawn to a new label.
Would you like a Sauvignon?
That's getting high marks for its very low price.
Well, this is very refreshing, very nice.
The name, Charles Shaw, but to the initiated,
I got 2 by Chuck.
Actually, it's $1.99 per bottle for 4 familiar varieties: Chardonnay, Cabernet, Merlot, and Sauvignon Blanc.
It's amazing. It's almost cheaper than water.
And it's been a top seller since Trader Joe's, a chain with 200 stores, mostly in the West, introduced it last spring.
It's great wine, and it's inexpensive, and it goes down easy.
So easy, this year sales of 2 Buck Chuck are expected to surpass established big national labels like Kendall Jackson and Behringer.
Well, there's never been anything like it in the wine business.
Charles Shaw is bottled in Napa, but the grapes come mostly from California's Central Valley. It's cheap thanks to an ongoing glut of grapes and bulk wine, not only in the U.S., but other big wine-producing countries. The growing popularity of $2 wine is sobering for image-conscious California vintners who worry consumers will now expect lower prices for all wines. Which would not be such a bad thing, according to one industry analyst.
Consumers in the U.S. have been paying too much for wine, often because they thought they had to pay an extra premium price to get good wine.
Some premium winemakers suffering through a sluggish economy agree. Maryvale is passing on its savings from cheaper grapes, cutting some prices up to 20%.
It's really changing the business almost from A to Z.
Already other stores are rolling out their own so-called super value wines, even while some predict the party could be over in a year or two as grape production evens out. But for wine drinkers, life has never been so rich for just $2 a bottle. James Hattori, NBC News, Napa, California.
Oh, I know.
And you can find out more about the phenomenon of 2 Buck Chuck on our website, msnbc.com. That's NBC Nightly News for this Sunday. I'm John Siegenthaler in New York. Have a safe Memorial Day. I'll see you back here again next weekend, if not before.
NBC News, America's news leader.
Tuesday, meet 4 singles seeking 4 singles. Who will win? Who will lose? The Game of Love. All new interactive Dateline Tuesday, 10/9 Central on.
A blend of soft rock favorites. 103.3 K103 FM. It's Soft Rock K103. I can be your hero, baby. A blend of soft rock favorites. 103.3 K103 FM.
Get ready for the streets of Portland to light up the night as Tracy Berry and Joe Donlin host the PGE Solve Starlight Parade, presented by Southwest Airlines.
Color Guard leading the way. They sound great. Oregon Zone, the 234th Army Band from the Oregon Army National Guard. Let's listen.
The excitement begins May 31st at 9. Brought to you by your official station of fun, News Channel 8.
Tuesday's Mega Millions jackpot is now $50 million.
Celebrating the men and women who sacrificed their lives to defend the U.S. Now on News Channel 8 at 6:30.
I honor them very highly for what they've done.
How some are setting time aside this Memorial Day weekend to recognize American soldiers who paid the ultimate price.
Also, what you